This is All About Home Construction, and here's your hosts, Terry Cannell Beck and Randy Blake.
That's right. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome to All About Home Construction. We got Randy Blake live at the VFW Rock and Roll Kitchen. Good morning, Randy.
Yeah, the only thing I can't do is I can't play my rock and roll while I'm talking on the thing.
No Rock and Roll Kitchen yet, but that's all right. How are you, man?
Good.
Nice. So, of course, Randy is. I'm in the studio. Randy's live in himself at the VFW here in Boone, right off of State Farm Road, the VFW there, and doing the monthly breakfast. So go on over, check him out. What's cooking, man?
Right. You know, like I said, we introduced a couple new dishes this time. We got salmon patties. Dave's doing a French toast casserole, and I got both the Scots here. So, hey, nice. And they ain't uniform, but I mean, you come by and see them. They're pretty ugly like me. And but yeah, we're doing our first grits that we've ever done before.
Yum.
And so, I mean, we're just adding a few things to the menu. Yes.
Nice. So, get on out there. That's going on. So, are you serving food yet, Randy?
We have got food on the bar right now.
All right. So, everybody can head on over right now, and then you'll be there for several hours, right?
So we're going to get the aristocrats. Till 11, so.
That's right. So, you can get on over there to the VFW and get your breakfast this morning. And
yeah, come out and join us. I mean, hell. When you were? I'm live on the radio. Oh, that's right. You're going to. When will?
Well, that's the cool thing is you guys can, all the listeners can get out there and get a good breakfast, and I mean that's the cool thing too, right? Is it all goes to VFW? You're serving, you're helping the people who have served, and all the. I mean that to me is the cool thing.
I want people to remember and think about, you know, No, we got cheap. Sorry, I can't talk. Do both at once, but the box is in and it's in a weird box. Sorry. Yes. Hey, I guess let's get out of the bag. We are having Bloody Marys and screwdrivers.
Uh-oh.
For breakfast for $3.50.
Sweet.
So, you know, we're trying to cater to everybody. But getting back to what I was talking about is. Today is Mountain City's first breakfast.
Nice.
And like I said, all VFWs need support. Need support because they are dying out.
Well, I mean, it's such a good cause. It's a fun organization. It's a good organization that does a lot that we've talked about. That we don't even realize too. So.
Yeah. Most important is, people, think about, some people have a bad attitude about veterans, okay? But one thing, Elizabeth Dole Foundation did, we had that thing in the summertime this last year.
That's right, yeah.
And Wounded Warriors, because, I've seen it. I grew up with a veteran, and, yeah, my dad was quite mean. I'd not say that, but he was, And the whole time we was growing up, his thing was, I'm training y'all to go to war.
Right.
And so if we couldn't hit a bullseye 250 yards at 4 out of 5 times, he'd want to know why we was wasting ammunition.
Right. Sure.
So.
Yeah.
And that was his thing. I want my boys to be able to protect themselves.
Right. Well, it's a mentality. And we we all base kind of what we do, and when it comes to our children, especially, right, and raising our children, we base it on our experiences, both good or bad, and then we, I think every good parent wants to do better for their kids, so it's.
Well, I want everybody to remember too, I'm not a veteran. I'm an auxiliary minister.
Right.
And the reason I'm eligible as an auxiliary is because my dad served in war.
Right. And that's a key component, right? Though, but when you're talking about an organization like the VFW, especially when you have,
and they took it without auxiliary help, that would hurt them too.
That's what I was going to say. The auxiliary really is an important part of the organization in terms of being able to do, for instance, things like breakfasts.
Yeah, and we help them out a bunch.
Yeah.
And I do all this for free.
Yep.
Yeah, to support these guys. And the good thing about this VFW is they're helping me. And we're entering a new phase of our life, or chapter that I think them apples should be ready. Okay, is that we're all working together, to do these meals and stuff.
Yep.
I came in at 6. I even got Franklin here helping me today.
Uh-oh, little Franklin, man. We'll have to get him on the radio here in a little bit.
And, we can probably get him to talk. And, but that's the thing. Everybody comes in and volunteers, and we try to give everybody the best bang for the buck we can get.
Love it.
And, it's like I told Deb the other night, we went to McDonald's and had 2 fish sandwiches and a small fry, and it's $14.
Right.
Where can you get a meal? Now, we will have to go up to 15 because of what we're serving. But we got pork tenderloin. Golly, that went over great last month.
Ooh, yum. Love it.
And fried apples are getting ready to go out.
Nice.
They can come out of the oven again.
Woohoo! You got me sold on bacon, man.
Well, you know what? We were averaging. I'll get it here in a second. There, 8 pounds of bacon every meal. And that's the reason we added, some more meat products to the list. And so we have, which we have country ham, from Good Nights. Matter of fact, we had an incident that happened, and we had a freezer go down, so we lost all of our biscuits. And we have to give Bojangles a big shout out for furnishing our biscuits today.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So,
dude, that's awesome.
I thought that was pretty good myself for them to help us out much.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's cool.
And then we're short-handed. And they took my order last night and said we'll have them ready. And Colin went and got them this morning.
Sweet.
So, come out and join us.
That's it, man. Come on out, and again, you'll be there. You're serving food now. You'll be there until 11 o'clock for food, and the bar's open for those that want mimosas. You're welcome to, but of course you don't have to. And that's the other thing. Is you've got other stuff too, and so that's the cool thing. It's kind of a little bit for everybody.
Well, you can't miss me because I'm the ugly one with the headphones on.
Well, that's always the case. So, I tell you what, Randy, we're going to take our first break, and we'll jump right back into All About Home Construction after that. How about that?
All right, that'll be cool.
All right, sounds good. All About Home Construction. We'll be right back right after this. That's right, All About Home Construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there Randy Blake live at the Rock and Roll Kitchen at the VFW this morning. Good morning, Randy.
Morning, Terry.
That's right. He's, again, just going to be out there cooking some breakfast until 11 o'clock, so get on over to the VFW and get your good breakfast this morning.
You know, I get October and November off for cooking because we're going to do the Scots are going to do barbecue and brisket.
Nice.
And then, you know, Thanksgiving, Dave always does a meal, and the meal is free.
That's awesome, yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And so everybody's, you know, so he feeds everybody that doesn't have a place to go, veterans, anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be a veteran, but he does it because there's people in the community that doesn't have anywhere to go.
Right. Well, that's
so keep that in mind.
That's really cool.
And but last week after the radio show, we had a lady call, and I asked her to call me back after the radio show. And when I got home, I never had any cell phone service for nearly the whole day.
Right.
So if you don't care to call me back at 828-964-6329 after the radio show, I would appreciate it.
Well, that's it.
And so I'm not trying to ignore you. I just never got a phone call, and you said you were going to call.
Well, that's it, and that's the cool thing. And we know we got all these listeners. We know she's out there listening because she listens every week, so we appreciate that. And that's the
trick. But one thing I want to talk about today for a little while was an incident that happened this week.
Yeah, you've had quite the interesting story pop up.
Yeah, on our company, and last weekend we had a message from a lady that was quite cruffy. You know, she wasn't downright rude, but I can understand the problem. And but my name is Randy Blake. The other contractor's name is Randy Blake.
Right.
So here we are. The other day. Deb's off and on the phone with them all day. I'm going. You know, I had a computer crash last year, and I'm going. Golly, I mean, we do so many estimates every week that I can't keep up with all of them in my head.
Right.
And so because, you know, we're already bidding out for next spring.
Right.
And so I'm looking through my computer for invoices, quotes, and stuff. This family had already paid the contractor $1,600 on a credit card. And so Deb's going, ma'am, or sir, what's your address? And they give her the address. And she said, no, I want your address in North Carolina because we can't come out there if we don't know the address here. And he said, I don't. I'm in New Hampshire.
And that's when the light bulbs went off.
And the thing is his company name is Randy Blake Construction. My name is Randy Blake Carpentry, INC.
Right.
I got on Facebook, looked him up. He actually looked like he did pretty good work. But one thing I was leading up to the end of this story is if you pay somebody and they leave your job after you've paid them, that is actually a felony in North Carolina.
Okay.
Failure to do work that you've been paid for.
Right.
And the same thing goes against homeowners. You know, if a contractor does the work and you don't pay the contractor, then that's failure to pay the contractor. And it doesn't cover a stiffer penalty, but it leads down the road that it may cost you a lot of money.
Right.
Because the last guy that jilted me out of money, if he'd have paid me, he would have saved himself $12,000 in legal fees.
That doesn't even count time. That's just fees, right?
Yeah, that's what he had to pay my
right.
legal fees.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
And the bill wasn't but $11,000. Right. So he ended up doubling what he owed.
Yep.
And North Carolina has a law out there that people don't realize is the subs have to be paid in 7 days after completion of work.
Right. Well, and so this whole unfortunate situation to me brings up a lot of just a lot of things we could talk about, because when you sit back First off, you've got to feel bad for the customers, and you completely understand the mix-up with the name. With the podcast, and your name is out there, our names are out there, and so it was. I would, in terms of reaching out to you, obviously a complete honest mistake. They thought they had the right guy, kind of thing. But then that brings up so many other issues, right? Unfortunately, someone came out, whether it's a reputable company or not, right? They came out, they got paid, and they didn't do the job, and so we see that a lot, and I'm not saying that particular company was trying intentionally to scam them, but that seems to be the end result, right? And but
you really don't know, and I don't have all the answers, and it's none of my business to call him.
Sure.
But if it was somebody here in North Carolina had done them, and I was asked, I used to do that at the Home Builders Association, talk to contractors or talk to homeowners that were disgruntled.
Right.
Try to settle the issue before it goes to court, okay?
Sure.
And because, homeowners have big eyes, and they have big dreams.
Right.
And day and time today, big dreams come with big prices, and there's nothing we can do about it because of the cost of stuff.
Yeah.
And, here a couple of weeks ago, 3/4-inch plywood got all the way up to $84 a sheet. Mm-hmm. Now it's back down to about 44, I think, last week when I checked it. And so they're fluctuating that fast. And one thing about a bank loan is you can't get any more money out of a bank loan. So it's better to be prepared and overdo your loan so you got enough money because you don't have to use it all at the end of the show.
Right. Well, that's the key, right? But but again, for our listeners though, to keep this from happening to you, like one thing that we talk about so much on the show is contracts. Get a contract, get a signed contract, and that goes both ways. That goes for all the contractors listening too.
Don't have to be much,
right?
Like we do our quotes, and at the bottom we have a line for the homeowner to sign on it, and that's a legal signature, okay?
Right.
One thing as contractors, my employees, all of us keep a daily log, okay? So we have a reference of who we talked to, what we talked about, and that is legal in the court system.
Right.
Okay? But if it's wrote in a book and you sign it at the end of the day, that's not considered hearsay. If a homeowner tells you that they want this done, and then at the end of the job they don't want to pay you, then you go back to your log and say, well, on such and such a day, you told me you wanted this done.
Right.
And I've signed the bottom of the page basically certifying that this is what you told me. That will stand up in court.
Right. Well,
and
yeah.
Another big one I want to let everybody know about. If you're building something and you want to buy the materials to supply to this sub or this contractor, you carry the warranty.
Yep.
The contractor or the sub does not have the warranty. You do. You took the responsibility of buying it and not telling them what they needed to do, put it, what product they needed on the roof, okay?
Right.
And so we had to give you an instance about it. We went and priced out cedar siding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always go high end, but I don't go low end, because if you go low end, now you have big knots in it and stuff, which the siding can fail.
Right.
Same thing with salt shakes. You get number ones,
mm-hmm.
number 1A, B, number 2s, A, B, utilities, and just junk grade, okay, with big knots.
Right.
And so we went and picked out the cedar siding, and I said, well, you're a friend of mine. I'll let you go ahead and pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got there, and then he changed from a number 2 siding to a number 3 siding.
Yeah.
That cost a couple $100.
Yep.
And a few years later, he was calling back the building supply and complaining that his siding was coming apart. And so they told him, said, hey, Randy ordered this. You bought this. It's your responsibility.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, and that goes back to, you know, one of the things we talk so much about contractors, right? One of the things that makes a contractor, that role of a contractor important, and you know, we know we both are DIY kind of guys ourselves. We like to figure things out, but what makes a contractor worth their weight in gold compared to, say, a DIY situation is you've got that experience. You know, we talk so much that yes, you've got the tools, but more importantly, you've got the knowledge, and sometimes you've learned that knowledge the hard way. And so for me, you know, it's like, yes, I know there's different products out there, but how many times even on this radio show and podcast do we get people, you know, asking us questions like, hey, what about this product? What about that product? And as a contractor, you know, I mean, I guess as a homeowner, like I would need to just sometimes rely on you. And I think this is a perfect example where, you know, hey, we have two different products, and yeah, one saves us money in the front end, but obviously there's a reason why Randy, as a contractor, didn't want to start with that product, you know, and
what we're after, and most people don't think about, is I'm after longevity.
Right.
Okay. And with longevity, you know, you save money on maintenance on your house.
Right.
Okay? And matter of fact, I can take a picture of the log cabin that we've done and CO'd in 2000 and give you pictures of it. Now we've put coating. We've painted it twice since 2000. Okay, he let it go a little further this last time.
Right.
But we used a darker stain. Mm-hmm. And what happened was he let it go so far that the board bees were starting to get through the stain. You know, we've had James Combs on the radio before, you know, Appalachian pressure washer. And James will put an insecticide in his stains. And it's not a strong insecticide. It works in parts per million. But over a period of 3-4 years, even that had disappeared and the board bees have come back.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you got to maintain these log cabins. Anything you put stain on to keep it from, you know, the insects getting to it.
Right. Right. Well, but going back to you know, the original start here is you really need, there's things that you're going to have to, as a homeowner, that you should do to protect yourself. And part of that is, you know, having that relationship with the contractor. And I say contractor, you know, the same applies to a painting contractor. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to always, and I think sometimes we think of this only happening in the, you know, the large jobs, the brand new house or the brand new addition.
You know,
but it could be any kind of remodel.
The difference is buying, like we've talked about before, is buying primer paint mix and then going ahead and buying one primer, then one paint.
Yeah.
You know, so we build a new house, we're going to prime it, then we're going to paint it.
Right.
We're not going to put half and half. Mm-hmm. You know, that the homeowner buys, and there's a big difference. See, so like I said, I can take pictures of these homes and show you, and they've never been touched on the inside. We've never restained anything. We've never repainted anything. And see, that's money saved down the road for the homeowner.
Sure. Well, and time. I mean, you know, we all like as close to maintenance free as we can get, right?
Correct. And sometimes it's hard on certain products to do that, and logs is one of them.
Right.
You know, James uses Sickens, which is an extremely good product. We've used Super Deck before from Sherwin-Williams, which is a good product.
Yep. Now,
Sickens will last a little longer than Super Deck, but both products need periodically every couple of years just a light pressure washing, just to get the mold, because stain draws mold.
Sure. Sure.
And it's because it's still got some oil in it.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. When it comes to like overall, you know, overall remodels, overall updating of your house, what would you say is the number one place where people try to cut corners but probably shouldn't? For instance, like you just said, you know, hey, I was going to get this siding. The homeowner decided to go with this, cut the corners and go with this other siding. What would you say is the number one thing that you see where?
Terry, I think I lost you.
Oh, no, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
No, you broke up on me on that last question.
No worries. So my question is, what do you see that's the number one thing where people try to cut corners in terms of, buying an inferior product, but where they shouldn't cut corners, but where they do the most?
Paint's the biggest one.
Okay.
Now, being a contractor, people say, I want this, and I said, okay, why do you, and I'll ask them why. And if it's a price issue, I said, because if you're looking at the total overall price of the whole project, it could only be 1% higher to go with the middle of the road product than the low end product.
Right.
Okay. To give you a good example is maybe you like that $199 toilet or that $299 toilet, but you can deal with the $99 toilet because they all flush the same. Okay.
Right.
We have a lot of people want to buy vanities and stuff for bathrooms. I have no problem with that, but do not buy a vanity that has made out of press board or particle board or any composite like an MDF product, because over the years the moisture will cause it to swell and it'll fail. So now you got to do it twice. So it's better go ahead and spend the money in your bathroom for quality products than lesser products.
Exactly, and and you're seeing that more and more with cabinets in the kitchen too, right? It's I've been in houses where you see, and it's like the cabinets look nice, but as you get looking closer, you see the MDF peeling off and where, especially around the sinks and dishwashers, where it's expanded, where it's just gotten moisture. In dishwashers, I think people don't realize, like, they give off a lot of steam. I know everything's contained and they drain as long as they don't leak, have an issue. But every time you open that dishwasher, when all that heat's inside, there's how many times do you see steam pulling out of it? All that moisture gets trapped in and around that cavity of those cabinets.
Another good example is your kitchen sink and your trap with hot water, and the condensation drips in the bottom, and now the bottom starts to drop.
Exactly. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a leak. Because we know there's problems when there's leaks, I guess is where I'm trying to go with that. But there's these little things, and but when you're dealing with that, when you're not dealing with real wood, real wood's bad enough. It doesn't need to get wet. Don't get me wrong. But at least it's a little more durable than some of these other products.
Correct. So go, in those 2 inches, vanities, kitchen cabinet stuff, go with a plywood product. Yes, it's going to cost you more, but the problem is, or not the problem, but you will live, your cabinets will last a lot longer.
Exactly.
You'll probably be changing tops down the road before you ever have to change your cabinets back out.
Exactly. Well, let's take another break, and we'll come right back to Randy in the Rock and Roll Kitchen over at the VFW in just a moment. Thanks for listening to us. That's right. All about home construction here on WATA. And again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. whether you're live on the radio on WAT on the mornings, or if you're listening to our podcast, All About Home Construction. By the way, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us, for those that don't know, even on YouTube. We're on YouTube. And then, of course, Randy Blake is live this morning in location at the VFW, where he's in the Rock and Roll Kitchen doing the VFW, the monthly breakfast this morning. And, Randy, just a recap real fast. You got some good breakfast going out right now, right?
Yep, we got eggs, potatoes. Like I said, Dave did a French toast casserole, so we got the syrup. We got tenderloin. We have biscuits, gravy, cube steak and gravy.
Ooh.
Ham. Oh, all the fixings. And we even got grits for you vegetarians.
So here's and this is the big debate. You ready? How do you like your grits?
I don't.
Okay,
I have to have somebody else that likes grits to do the testing on that. But
Well, I mean, but everybody's different. There's this big, the big debate on grits of sugar and no sugar, and I'm just curious.
No, we don't. The only thing we did was a little salt. So you have to put your own sugar and your own butter.
So see, you can make it how you like it. I like that.
Hey, Franklin, come over here. Did you try some of that steak and gravy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried it. It was so good.
Oh, so Franklin's a big steak and gravy fan.
Yeah.
Well, my question is for Franklin is, are you eating all the bacon, or are you going to save some for me?
Let's move on to the next question.
Oh, wow. All right. Next question for Franklin is, how do you eat your grits?
I don't like grits.
All right. That's fair. So
Like everything out there but salmon, right?
Yeah, I like everything but grits and salmon.
So, Franklin, I'm with you. I am not a salmon eater myself. It is not my thing at all. Of course, I don't like seafood, and salmon to me is the worst of all seafood. So.
Oh.
So Franklin, you'll appreciate this while we're talking about salmon. You ready for this rabbit hole? Is I was this past week I found out one day too late, basically, that the National Park Service, one of the parks up in Alaska, is what they call like Fat Bear Week, and this is the week that all the bears, or this next couple weeks, is when you see on TV where the bears are catching the salmon that's jumping through the waterfalls and stuff, and they're just catching them in the air. Well, this is like starting that up, and so apparently this last week you could go to the National Park Service, one of those websites, and you could vote on which bear that you think is going to get the most, and there's like a contest, like a bracket and a thing like which bear is going to get the most food, and I missed it. I didn't get it on the vote, but it's something we got to look forward to. So.
Yeah, my dad told me there was a contest for everything. And I was just like, no way that's true. But turns out there is. I'm
thinking you're right, man. There's pretty much a contest for everything. So, but so tell me, you're over there helping with the VFW breakfast this morning. What? Obviously, the steak is your favorite thing. What do you think people should come in and try, though, besides the steak? What would you suggest one of our listeners coming into and grabbing for breakfast?
I would suggest the pork tenderloin. Me and my grandpa cut that up and fried it, and we definitely seasoned it very well. And so I think you guys should come in, try the pork tenderloin, and
you helped with the you made.
Nice.
I made the cube steak too.
And you processed
the steak, the sausage, and the pork tenderloin is the three things that you should definitely try.
Oof. So you helped Randy cut this now? This isn't just like prepackaged frozen tenderloins. Then you actually got and cut these tenderloins?
Yes. That's
pretty cool. Oh yeah. So how did you do that?
Well, first time I failed because I cut it thin at the bottom and very thick at the top. So my grandpa had to teach me how to cut it. and it was like a saw motion kind of.
Yeah.
And then I kept learning and learning until I finally got it right.
So,
And, I kept my fingers safe too.
well, obviously I'm not a very good cook. So my question to you is, does it matter? Like when we talk, so here on All About Home Construction, we talk about cutting wood all the time, and we know that wood has grain, and like beef and pork kind of does too. Like, is there a certain way you have to cut the tenderloin to keep it from getting thick and thin on one side? Like what's the trick?
You can't cut it diagonal, or else you're going to mess up like I did. You have to cut it super straight. That's how you get it super perfect.
So that's the trick, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, one thing I'm really bad to do is I don't plan ahead. And so whenever I'm cooking, like here's my meat, whatever it is, steak or pork or whatever, but it's like, I got to cook it now. And I never have time to marinate it. Do you marinate your tenderloins?
Define marinate.
Well, like, do you put like seasonings and like other things like to make it flavorful, or like how do you what's the next step after you cut it? What do you do next?
After we cut it, we get it in the pan. But first we let the pan heat up, of course, and add your butter, olive oil, and then we season it with pepper, garlic, and salt.
Ooh, pepper, garlic, and salt. All right. Now, pepper, I'm guessing you're talking like black pepper. You don't like spicy peppers, right?
Oh, no, like black pepper.
Yeah, okay.
Black pepper, kosher salt, and garlic powder.
All right, and that's the trick, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't want you to give all the secrets away. So if this is a Rock and Roll Kitchen secret, then don't answer, and that's okay. But how long do you cook it?
Well, I don't really know how long I cooked it, but whenever you gotta flip it until it's got like brown color, and then you gotta make it come out like it's done at 160 degrees.
Ah, so you're actually you actually gotta like keep it up with the temperature and everything, huh?
Yeah, it's really hard to cook it perfect.
All right, that's just good to know. That's good to know because like I said, I'm one of those that's like I'm just gonna throw it on the stove or on the grill, and then I forget about it, and it's like hard and dry and crunchy. So you're already ahead of the game, knowing how to cook way better than I do, apparently.
Yeah.
So all right. So what's the situation with I'm a big this time of year I like jelly and apple butter is my favorite. So what is it you like? What about the biscuits? What do we got to go with the biscuits, man?
Ever signed the book?
What kind of fixings do we have with the biscuits? Like you got biscuits, so you got like jelly, you got honey. Like what's?
I personally like the biscuits and gravy.
Ooh, so you're a biscuits and gravy kind of guy. Don't even stick with the biscuits and jelly. You want a biscuit and gravy.
We're still on the radio.
Yeah.
All right, that's good to know, man. That's good to know. And for all of our listeners out there, you guys will be over there cooking till 11 o'clock, right?
Yes, I think so.
All right. So Franklin, go check out and say hello to Franklin over at the VFW and the pork tenderloin king right there. Is that a fair title, Franklin? Can I give you that title?
Yeah.
All right. So Franklin and Randy over at the Rock and Roll Kitchen cooking up pork tenderloins on a Saturday morning. Franklin, I'm going to take another break, and we'll get Randy back on here at the end. Sound good?
Okay.
All right, Franklin, thanks for joining us. And, hey, when everybody comes, they're going to tell you hello, all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Get it here fast, 'cause people are trying to get here and take all the food.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a good challenge. So there you go. Franklin's throwing down the challenge to all of our listeners out there. Get over to the VFW and get all the food, man. All right. Franklin, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back right after this break. Thanks for listening to us. That's right. All about home construction here on WAT8. Again, thanks to all of our listeners out there. And going over the VFW, Randy Blake live with Franklin over at the VFW at the Rock and Roll Kitchen. And Randy, thanks for getting Franklin on. He's rocking it over there at the VFW Kitchen. And I don't know if you could hear him do the challenge to all of our listeners out there. Did you catch that part, Randy?
No, I didn't catch that part. Oh. I'm on headphones, so nobody can interfere with me.
You're good. Yeah. So Franklin threw down a challenge to all of our listeners, and that is to get over there and try to eat all the food. So that's that. He threw it down for the listeners, and so they're going to have to get over there and take up the challenge from Franklin. And
matter of fact, we had a gentleman veteran just come in and said, "Just heard you on the radio."
Love it. Well, thanks a lot, and thanks for listening to us. And get on over to the VFW this Saturday morning and help them out. Good cause, and as you heard, apparently pork tenderloin is where it's at. He almost has me convinced, Randy, that I need the pork tenderloin instead of the bacon this morning.
Oh, come on, we got it.
Yeah, so there you go. But but again, talking a little bit about all about home construction this morning. And one of the things, though, that we just wanted to remind all of our listeners to, when it comes to the construction world is just to sort of watch yourself. And again, this goes both ways for all of our contractors out there, too. You don't want to be in a situation like Randy was in. I mean, it was a headache, and time is money, and you had to deal with that. And so, again, on the contractor side of things, is just knowing like you did, right?
Yeah. Another thing they can do, Terry, is they can check the Better Business Bureau.
Well, and that's what I was curious, like, Better Business Bureau, especially here in North Carolina, is one of those things that, a lot of people go back to. But you have to know certain things, and there's certain things such as, a contact number, a good contact number for whoever's doing the job. And, but that goes back to
something else that's happened a lot, during the COVID times, there was people out there pretending to be contractors.
Right.
Okay. So, which they've shut down quite a few of them, and but you cannot put contractor on your card, not unless you're a licensed entity in the state of North Carolina.
Right. Yeah.
You can do construction, but not contractor. And another thing the state has done too is they increased. Remember we talked a couple of weeks ago about the code changes.
Right.
So we went from 30,000. Now they've increased it to 40,000 because of the cost of materials and the higher cost of houses.
Gotcha.
So all the licenses have gone up. I think intermediate's gone to 1.6 million, 750,000 for limited, and then unlimited can do anything.
Right.
Well, I can do buildings up to 5 stories tall.
Sure. Now, one thing you see, of course, and we've talked about the importance of finding an insured contractor, someone that that has the insurance, has the proper insurance, and you can go back to the podcast and listen to what those how to get that and make sure that's required. But what about what about bonds? That's one thing that you hear so much.
Again, Terry?
On TV, you see a commercial and it's like a licensed and bonded contractor. What is in North Carolina? How does the bonds work?
A residential contractor can't be bonded. They will not issue a bond.
Right.
Okay. And your commercial guys have to have a bond. So in case something tears up or something fails on that project, that's his insurance on it.
Right.
And but it's just the story we told about the guy that runs the licensing board. He lost his business during the housing crunch, so now he's in charge of the licensing board. And there was a guy out there in the Toyota truck. His name was construction, licensed, insured, and bonded. So he said, well, I'm just going to sit here and see how he's doing it. And so he sat out there and he said, what kind of license you got? He said, I got my driver's license. What kind of insurance you got? He said, I got my insurance for my truck. And he said, well, what kind of bond you got? He said, I just put that on there because everybody else puts bonded.
Exactly.
And, in our license, we can be bonded to get our license, But the point of it is, I've never been able to find out how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I passed the test in Tennessee.
Right.
And they said the same thing. And after calling 50 insurance companies, commercial and residential, nobody issues bonds to contractors or anybody contractors.
Right.
But commercial guys doing $1 million jobs.
Right. Well, and I guess that's where I was going with this is, you see these names but some of them, if you're not careful, are just that they're buzzwords like the example you just gave where, you're skirting the rule, you're skirting the definition, right? You're being very literal in that and making letting people make the assumptions but that's it's a marketing ploy.
Well, I am licensed and I am insured.
Well, and that's the key. And is there a way? Is there a database, a website? Like, how do I know that a contractor is actually licensed?
You can get on the North Carolina License Board for General Contractors. You can put their name in. If they give you a card with a license number, you can look up their licenses. You can look up their history, the whole time they've been a contractor. And but one thing I want to say is, you always hear on TV, you always get 3 estimates. Mm-hmm. Well, most of us is all within 25% of each other.
Right.
But we don't have a big workforce, up here in the high country.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard to get 3 estimates. And if I go to do a job and, like me being in business 35 years, I'll go, well, okay, how many people am I bidding against? And they say, 4 or 5. I'm not interested in messing with it.
Right.
Because it's about like the state jobs. They have 25 people bid for the state jobs, and then they turn around and hire the lowest one.
Right.
And we can't keep paving on the highway.
Yeah. Well, in your situation, again, people don't realize what it takes to do an estimate. I get estimates, a free estimate, sure, as a homeowner, as a someone that wants to buy, yeah, it's great, but as a contractor, you put a lot of work into that estimate. So, and time is money. But, well, listen,
and people don't understand that's man hours.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. But
it's against the law for us to quote a price on the house without a set of plans.
Right.
At all.
That's it.
All right? And a set of plans. You heard what I said.
Yep.
Not a hand drawing.
Exactly. Well, Randy, time's up here. Get on over and visit Randy and Franklin. They'll be there till 11 o'clock serving breakfast at the VFW. And then, Randy, I hope you have a good week, and we'll come back and we'll gather together and talk again next week. Sound good?
See you next Saturday.
That's it, man. Well, Randy, you take it easy. We'll see you later.
All right, bye.
All About Home Construction here on WATA. Thanks for listening to us. Again, get on over to the VFW this morning. We'll see you next time.